I'm Cynthia Gordon-Ducruz. Today I'll be presenting highlights from the introductory section of Chabot's ICER report, which was a collaborative project from our Office of Institutional Research together with Na Lu and Indra Lau Jo. I want to start by acknowledging that Chabot College is located on the ethno-historic tribal territory of the Ohlone tribal group and remind us to strive to be good stewards of the lands that we occupy. In general, the purpose of the introduction to an ICER report is to orient the ACCJC accreditation team to the college. The introduction is roughly 50 pages with numerous figures on relevant data, as are listed in the bullet points on this slide. I'll just be going over highlights in this presentation, but you can always reach out to our office to learn more about any of the data presented here today. The first section of the report is on the external environment, covering data on the cities in our service areas. As you likely know, the institution is located in an unusually high cost of living area. Despite the wealth of the surrounding area, residents of the Chabot service area, Hayward, San Leandro, San Lorenzo, Castro Valley, and Union City, have lower median incomes, higher rates of poverty, and lower educational attainment than the service area of our sister college. This graph shows the percentage of people living below poverty. As you can see, on the left side of the graph, Alameda County has the highest poverty rate at 10.6%. Then come all of Chabot's service area cities, which have higher poverty rates than all of Las Positas' service area cities, which are located on the right side of the graph. The next section of the introduction is on labor market and population data. It includes population projections, unemployment rates, and employment rates by sectors with predictions for growth. Unemployment rates in Chabot service area cities were steadily decreasing until the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Hayward, Chabot's largest feeder city, had unemployment of 14.9% back in 2010, which slowly decreased to 3.2% by 2019. Then Hayward's unemployment rate shot up to 10.4% in 2020 during the shelter-in-place order. Preliminary data for the month of March 2021 illustrates that unemployment rates are improving as the economy begins to recover from COVID-19. This chart shows employment growth predictions from 2015 to 2030 by sector for the whole Bay Area. The written ICER introduction also contains a chart of sectors with the highest percentage of employment as of 2018. Health and educational services was not only the sector accounting for the highest percentage of employment in 2018, it also has the highest predicted growth rate between 2015 and 2030. One highlight from IR's research on labor market data is that Chabot has certificate and degree program offerings that lead to jobs in sectors with strong opportunities for employment, regardless of whether an entry position requires some college, an associate degree, or transferring to a four-year institution to complete a bachelor's degree. There's a new handout hyperlinked on this slide illustrating these excellent connections of Chabot program offerings to area employment. The next section of the ICER introduction includes data on student demographics. Much of this data is similar to what IR regularly posts in our student characteristics reports, so I won't go into depth in this presentation. Feel free to check out the hyperlink on this slide for various handouts on demographics, such as the race, gender, age, and disability status of our students. With regard to our unduplicated student headcount in falls from 2011 to 2020, Chabot ebbed and flowed between a little over 13,000 to mid-14,000, with the exception of fall 2020. In fall 2020, there was a drop in student headcount from 14,220, fall of 2019, to 12,945, fall of 2020. This decrease parallels drops in headcounts experienced statewide due to COVID-19. One of the new graphs IR constructed for the ICER introduction was a look at the economic status of first-time students versus all students at Chabot. In fall 2019, on the left side of the graph, first-time students are predominantly low income, 58% versus 42% non-low income. Whereas for all students, the opposite is true, 58% are not low income. In fall 2020, this pattern holds, but is less drastic. First-time college students in fall 2020, during the shelter-in-place order, are still predominantly low income, but only just barely so, 52% versus 48%. It will be interesting to see whether Chabot attracts a larger percentage of low-income first-time students in fall 2021. This is another new graph from IR, depicting the percentage of first-generation college students at Chabot by race ethnicity. One way to define first-generation status is a student for whom no parent or guardian has earned more than a high school diploma and who has no college experience. By this definition, 45% in fall of 2019 and 43% in fall of 2020 of Chabot students would be considered first-generation. First generation is also commonly defined as a student for whom no parent or guardian has earned a bachelor's degree. By this definition, 73% in fall of 2019 or 71% in fall of 2020 of Chabot students would be considered first generation. Both these percentages vary by students' racial and ethnic backgrounds. Defining first generation as neither parent guardian having a bachelor's degree, in fall of 2020, Latinx, Pacific Islander, and Native American/Alaska Native students are most likely to be first generation, whereas white and Filipinx students are least likely to be first generation. ACCJC requires that colleges set two types of goals for student outcome metrics. The next section of the ICER introduction includes data on these goals for Chabot. Institution set standards, or minimum values that metrics should not drop below, and stretch goals, goals above the current level of performance that we aspire to achieve. The first ACCJC outcome metric for goal setting is course success rates. Great news for Chabot. We exceeded the institution set standard in all 3 of the past academic years, and even reached our stretch goal in 2 of the past 3 years. While not required for ACCJC, it is consistent with Chabot's equity-focused mission to disaggregate these success rates by race and ethnicity. This graph is one of the data points that inspired the Black Excellence Collective 10 by 10 Villages because of the disproportionate impact African American or Black students, depicted in blue, experience in course success rates. Though not a required ACCJC outcome metric, Chabot also includes numerous graphs on persistence in the introduction. For example, this graph shows fall-to-fall persistence rates for new students with degree and transfer goals, disaggregated by students' racial or ethnic background. Asian American and Filipinx students consistently have fall-to-fall persistence rates above the college average. White students and Latinx students largely fall just above and just below the college average, respectively. Pacific Islander students have very small group sizes, from 28 to 39, and thus show large fluctuations in these persistence rates. Black or African American students are again disproportionately impacted, with fall-to-fall persistence rates well below the college average. The next ACCJC outcome metric for goal setting is the number of associate degrees earned. Again, great news for Chabot. We exceeded the institution set standard in all 3 of the past academic years and even reached our stretch goal in 2 of the past 3 years. Chabot IR also looks at a metric called degree completion rates, or the rate a cohort of students complete their degree in a given time frame. Chabot's 4-year degree completion rates for first-time college students with a transfer and/or degree educational goal ranged from 10 to 15% for the fall 2013 to fall 2016 cohorts. Chabot is aiming to decrease students' time to degree completion through our Guided Pathways initiative. The next ACCJC outcome metric for goal setting is the number of certificates earned. Again, great news for Chabot. We exceeded the institution set standard in all of the past 3 academic years and even reached our stretch goal in 2 of the past 3 years. The next ACCJC outcome metric is the number of transfers. And once again, great news for Chabot. We exceeded the institution set standard in all of the past 3 academic years and even reached our stretch goal in 2 of the past 3 years. There is room for improvement with transfers when you disaggregate by race ethnicity. The 6-year transfer velocity rates for Chabot college students who showed behavioral intent to transfer ranged from 35 to 38% for the cohort starting in 2008 through 2012. Asian Americans are consistently the most likely group to transfer, with rates ranging from 43 to 56%, and African American students are the least likely group to transfer, with rates ranging from 22 to 31%. This is one more data point that motivated the Black Excellence Collective 10 by 10 Villages. The next ACCJC outcome metric is licensure examination pass rates. Here, Chabot truly excels, with 100% pass rates on all exams in the past 3 years. The final ACCJC outcome metric is job placement rates for CTE programs. Again, Chabot has done well, with 11 out of 13 programs meeting or exceeding institution set standards in the past 3 years. Several programs managed an impressive 100% job placement rate in at least one of the past 3 years. For a detailed report, check out the hyperlink on the slide. Overall, the ICER introduction paints a picture of the service area cities of Chabot, of our diverse student population, and our commitment to using data for promoting equity and evidence-informed decision-making. We recognize that 50 pages of data is a lot to pack into a presentation, so please feel free to contact the Office of Institutional Research for more information on any of the data referenced in this presentation.